Hey everybody, it's me, Steve Schnee, the CD Junkie. On this episode of CD Junkie, I'm going to be talking about a Scottish band by the name of the Kaisers. No, I'm not talking about the Kaiser Chiefs. That's what everybody asks me. Oh, do you mean the Kaiser Chiefs? No, if I meant the Kaiser Chiefs, I would have said the Kaiser Chiefs. No, I'm talking about the Kaisers. But Schnee, who's the Kaisers? Kaisers, great Scottish garage beat band. Let me think what I can compare them to. Remember that Beatles clip from 1962 or whatever? I think it's The Cavern, where they're doing Some Other Guy. That very sort of raw and sweaty Merseybeat that is just so catchy and so wonderful. That is what the Kaisers sound like. And if that sounds exciting to you, trust me, it's beyond exciting. This sounds like it's authentic from 1962, 63 era. It's all recorded in mono, and it is just as exciting as hell. Now, the guys from the band, I believe that Kaiser George Miller, came from a band called the Stingrights, who were around in the 80s or whatever, and they were sort of a garagey type band. But he eventually formed the Kaisers. Now, the Kaisers have had sort of a revolving lineup, but Kaiser George Miller is the singer, guitar player, and Kaiser Johnny Mabin, the drummer. Those are the two that have stayed with the band all along. But there have been some other great musicians along the way as well, including Kaiser Matt Armstrong, Kaiser Angus McIntyre. I think Angus McIntyre might have been with George and the Stingrights. Kaiser Mark Ferry. As you can probably tell, you know, they do have first and last names, but they usually just go by Kaiser George, Kaiser Matt, Kaiser Johnny. And no, I don't think that there's anybody in the band named Roll. Get it? Kaiser Roll. Anyway, let's start going through the CDs here. We're going to start with a 1993 release called Squarehead Stop. The minute you hear this, it's just full adrenaline. It just throws you in the middle of the sweaty pit, and you're listening to just great raw rock and roll Merseybeat. The twist is just absolutely stunning and fabulous. Most of the material is written by Kaiser George, but they do some covers. And this is an absolutely fabulous album. This was from 1993. There's an album from 1994 called In Step with the Kaisers. I believe it's vinyl only because that's what I've read, and I don't own it. And it makes me very sad because I would like to own it, but I am a CD junkie, and guess what? I don't have a turntable. Next up in 1995 came Beat It Up, another just stellar collection. I'm just going to keep telling you this because it's exciting. It's wonderful to listen to this stuff. Now, a lot of people claim that this is their best album. I think every album has great elements to it. And like I said, if you love mono, Merseybeat, raw and sweaty, can't beat that. This is actually my favorite Kaisers album. It's called Wishing Street. Now, I believe that this has been reissued and has a different cover. But this one here is my favorite. This came out in 1997, and it is so fantastic. The Kaisers, Wishing Street. So this is the one I would recommend everybody rush out and get, because there is no best of the Kaisers. Now, a lot of people know that I am not a fan of live albums, and I usually don't buy live albums by artists. Well, guess what? I bought a live album by the Kaisers. It's called Twist with the Kaisers, 1999. It was recorded in America. Again, you know, when you listen to the Kaiser studio stuff and you listen to this is recorded in mono, so it has that same raw energy, and that's called Twist with the Kaisers. Came out in 1999. 2002, out comes Shake Me, another great Kaisers album. But this time I couldn't understand why more people weren't getting into the Kaisers, because it's just so fun, so energetic, so passionate. And it doesn't sound like they're pretending to be a band from 1962, stuck inside a time warp in the cavern. They sound like they're actually transported from that period. So it's really actually quite fun. Now, this was the last album before they broke up, which was very, very sad. There is another Kaiser CD that came out in 2018. It's a rarities collection called Rough and Rare. 2018 is when this came out. And there you are with more Kaiser rarities. Now, the Kaisers have released a lot of vinyl. There's even a Christmas single. Like I said, I don't play vinyl. But they've got a lot of EPs and singles and stuff that you can track down in stores. But I don't talk about those, of course, on CD Junkie. I want to let you vinyl lovers know that they exist on vinyl as well. I think some of these albums are probably available on vinyl too. Now, the band members went off into different directions. Kaiser George made an album called Transatlantic Dynamite with a band called the High Risers, which is, again, another great collection of Merseybeat, twist, rock and roll, garage influenced pop. Just great material. This came out in 2006, and this should be a part of everybody's Kaiser collection. He was also part of an album by Los Straitjackets and the Pontani Sisters, and that's called Twist Party. And of course, I love Los Straitjackets. I'm going to be eventually doing a video on the Los Straitjackets releases, but this is another great collection. Great twist, rock and roll, Merseybeat influenced songs, and this has a DVD with video, and this is so boss, if you know what I mean. It's just absolutely fantastic. But wait, that's not all. In 2014, Kaiser George formed a band called the New Piccadillies. And look at those Marionettes. I'm going to tell you about Marionettes there in just a second. This is going to blow your mind. This sort of begins where the Kaisers ended. Their garage beat, Merseybeat, raw rock and roll versions of a lot of songs that many of us know, such as Judy is a Punk by the Ramones, Complete Control by the Clash. I mean, just look at these songs here. Not everything is like super duper well known. The last track is Rock and Roll, the Led Zeppelin song, but they do it like the Trashmen, Surfin' Bird. And this album is mind-bendingly great. It is so catchy, and it's so fun. And that's the thing about all this stuff with Kaiser George is it's so fun because there's the passion and there's the joy in making and creating the music. You can tell the love of music is there, and the passion to create music just brings it all together. And, you know, you may go like, well, gee, I have Please Please Me by the Beatles, or I have the Silver Beatles bootleg. I don't need early Merseybeat. Yeah, you do. Trust me. When you listen to the Kaisers and you listen to George Kaiser and the High Risers and you listen to the New Piccadillies, you definitely need it. Now, George and Johnny were also part of a band called Janie and the Rave Men. I do not have that CD. I heard a couple tracks and I need to own that CD. So I have it in a couple shopping carts online and I'm just waiting to be able to afford it. But that is another album. It's along the same lines, recorded in mono, but a female vocalist. And it just sounds wonderful. The songs sound great. So definitely check that out. One thing I wanted to bring up, Kaiser George, during this pandemic, he's been creating something new and different. He's been creating marionettes. Like I said, I'm sure that he created those. But the marionettes he's been creating are rock and roll legends. He manages to take the personalities of these rock and roll artists and mold them into a marionette, and it is absolutely fabulous. Now, they've set up a Facebook page where he features them called Kaiser George Marionettes, and they're making it look like they are available to purchase. To my knowledge, at this exact moment, they are not. But I can tell you, if there's a lot of demand, these things are going to sell like hotcakes. I'm pretty certain that they're not available, at least at this time. I'm a little confused. I'm always confused, but I'm fascinated by his art. I'm fascinated by what he's created in the studio with the Kaisers and the New Piccadillies and Janie and the Rave Men. And I love to see the progress of his marionette art. In the description below, I will put a link to the Kaiser George Marionettes Facebook page so you can go get a look for yourself. He's really something else. Anyway, that is it. I appreciate you sitting around allowing me to talk about the Kaisers, Kaiser George and the High Risers, Los Straitjackets, the New Piccadillies, Janie and the Rave Men, and the Kaiser George Marionettes. I hope that this inspires you to go check them out. Remember, buy physical product. In any case, please remember to like, comment, share, subscribe, ring that bell if you want to get notifications of future episodes of any of the shows I do. And until the next time, remember me, I'm Steve Schnee, the CD Junkie.